we're now officially beginning the event. And so if you've just joined us, we were just having a very informal conversation on Antonella's project that she's been engaged in, which was writing a book. But we're now going to shift focus towards the event today, which is managing difficult personalities. And so that's going to be, I think, I think there's always a difficult personality in our life. At any given time, there's always one, if not many. So this is going to be really helpful and useful for all of us. So just a tiny bit of an intro, really, about who we are if you've joined us for the first time. In a space, we're a meditation center based in Covent Garden in London, and we've been running well-being sessions in and around London for companies, charities, and all for nearly 30 years. And in a space, it's managed by the Brahma Kumaris, and we're a spiritual organization. And we have centers across the world, and providing space really for people to explore and experience their best selves. So that's who we are. And so welcome to this Friday weekly evening talks. I'm Amisha, and I hope your week has been good. And actually, I just thought if you wouldn't mind just joining me for a very short meditation, I will just pack up the week. So let's just take a moment to stop and pack up all the tension, the stress, anything that's weighing you down. Pack it all up and put it out of your mind. And just focus on this moment. Sitting and being present. And feeling refreshed. And refreshing our focus, our mind, so that we're ready to capture all the nourishing ideas. So our speaker this evening is Antonella. Antonella Ferrari has run a successful fashion business in Sardinia, I think. I'm guessing from the write-up that I found on the internet. And she's also been studying and teaching Raj Yoga meditation for about 35 years. Is that right? Yes. And you're currently based in Bologna, and you help to coordinate the meditation activities across Italy.
Yeah.
And I think, again, what I found on the internet, which is, I don't know how true, is that you like to paint and go sailing around the Tuscan coastline. Is that right too?
Used to.
Well, it sounds wonderful. We're all jealous. So our topic this evening is managing difficult personalities. And as we know, they're a fact of life. Difficult personalities, we have them everywhere, at home, at work, at play. And yeah, the easiest would be to just run away from them. But it's not always the best option, because wherever we go, we'll always find somebody else to take their place. So we may as well get better at dealing with difficult personalities, just so that life can be a bit more stress-free, a bit more enjoyable. So the format of the event today is that Antonella will share for around 40 minutes, and then will lead us into a short meditation. And during the talk, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat. I'll keep an eye on everything, and I'll put them forward to Antonella at the end when we go through the question and answer process. So it's over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're absolutely right. Difficult personality are everywhere. Those who can turn even the simplest interaction into a conflict. And they don't realize they are difficult people. They are definitely not aware of their own behaviors. And it's a kind maybe of blindness or a deep form of self-deception, I guess. And maybe we are all difficult people, maybe. because we might be difficult for somebody very different from us. And what is difficult for me can be easy for you, and vice versa. And I actually remember an experience I had. There was a very manipulative person who seemed to enjoy hurting others, making them feel guilty, humiliate others while playing the victim. Maybe it's familiar to you, I don't know. And it was as if the other person suffering would make her easy with their own suffering. She was really enjoying to hurt people, unusual but real. And people around her would take distance, and I was between them. We were all pretty careful to take good distance, not to be hurt, and to protect ourselves and avoid being hurt. And she was very, very skillful in this. And if we were not around, she would be slandering, spreading discord. I mean, it was really, really skillful. But one day, and that was the lesson I learned, during one of her typical show, a new person happened to be there, and she laughed. This person just laughed, not out of arrogant, not ironically. She was genuinely amused by the show. So the difficult person was disarmed in front of someone who wasn't influenced by her negativity. It was incredible to witness. You know, the difficult person was making a big show, trying to offend and blame, and the other person was just laughing, like an entertaining show. Spontaneously, it was really genuine. And so the difficult person was really disarmed, and she stopped and she cooled down. It was incredible to witness, to see. And the other person only laughed. That was it. But it was a laughter out of love. It was like she would relate to the pain behind the show. And she was laughing in a very innocent way. And I thought, look, it was so easy, that easy. Just don't take it on board. Just imagine it's a show on the stage of life. And that laughter was an incredible shield. So it was for me a very good learning moment. Of course, some cases are pathological and they require medical treatment. But apart from those extreme cases, the term difficult often is used to define something different. And we label whatever is different as difficult. So what does difficult mean for you? Does it mean rude, violent, demanding, very suffocating, very manipulating? I guess that sooner or later we all come across difficult personalities. Maybe a professional gossiper who saw discord and set one against the other. That seems to be quite common. Or a chronic complainer that nothing is never right. Pretty heavy. Complaining about everything and nothing is never right. Nothing is never good enough. Or a serial liar expert in cheating, or those who offend so easily, they get offended so easily, so you can't say anything because they immediately react. Extremely, extremely delicate and sensitive. And it's so difficult to communicate with somebody that you can't say anything. There is no communication eventually. And also a lack of communication create a lot of difficulties in relationship. Or people that ignore your opinion completely. So like you are worthless. Or those who focus just on themselves with the feeling that they are superior to anybody else. A kind of sense of grandiosity. Or dominant people. Control freaks, suffocating everybody around them. A sense of desire of authority. Or violent people. Actually, all of these are violent attitude, rude, aggressive. So, what are the traits of personality that are challenging you? Because we are all different, and what is a challenge for me might not be a challenge for you. And it's good to become aware that a really difficult personality doesn't change easily because they don't realize they have a problem and they are unlikely to change. So the best approach that you can take is to learn how to deal with them and avoid being hurt. Of course, some people usually say, why should I change? They have the problem. They are the problem. Why should I change? Have you ever had these thoughts? The reply that I gave to myself is that I would change because I choose peace, peace of mind, and I choose to be free from the influence of other people's behavior. Otherwise, we can be affected all day long. And being affected is a kind of dependency. So I think managing difficult personalities is an interesting journey to become free. And an experience that I had a long time ago, probably it was more or less 3 years, I was in this school learning meditation. And I was giving the course, the meditation course. I was in Milan. And there was a group of people, about 15 people maybe, taking the course, out of which there was one young girl that she was really tough because she would attack everybody, reply, in a bad way to everyone. And after some time, people couldn't stand her any longer. She would attack and react and blame, being really, really difficult. Completely difficult to manage for not just for me, but for the people of the course themselves. And probably at the third or fourth lesson, she shared a story. And she said about when she was a teenager and her stepfather abused her regularly. And she was just a little bit more than a child. And her mother knew. So you can imagine somebody being abused by the stepfather, and the mother knows everything and she doesn't intervene. So she lost completely trust in people. And therefore, whoever was coming closer to her, she would attack and defend. That was her pattern. She would attack people like saying, keep a distance. And that was her way to defend herself and create a shield that was actually hurting everybody. By the time she shared this experience, her story, then everybody became so understanding. So, everybody were expressing so much empathy and compassion, and they start being very friendly in spite of her behavior, which didn't change. She didn't change in her way of relating to people, but people changed the way they were relating to her. And out of empathy, out of understanding. So I thought everybody with difficult personality, they are carrying a deep suffering story, for sure. Because the innate nature of every human being is goodness, like a diamond, covered by dust, but still is a diamond. So that diamond can be covered by so many layers of bad experiences. And therefore, the outside, it can be really damaged and strange. And so sometimes we are not allowed to know the story of whoever we encounter or whoever we come in contact with. But I think we can give it for granted. And therefore we can have an understanding approach that whoever is difficult or different or expressing some kind of interesting behaviors is carrying a tough story. And that was good to see again. We learn so much from experiences. And also another experience I had was when I worked in a company. I was still a student, but again, I was already meditating, so that helped me a lot. And I took this job for 6 months. It was a temporary job in a company, big company. And the assistant of the big boss was taking leave. She was retiring. And I was the substitute in between the final one. That's why I was there only for 6 months. And when I went for the first time, the lady that was passing, all the job to me, she said, "Good luck. I'm leaving because I can't cope with that man, the boss." It was a new manager, very young, dynamic, demanding, completely different energy from the previous one that was very kind and gentle, but he retired. So she couldn't cope with the new manager. And she was willing to retire earlier. And so she was preparing me for the challenge of being there. And she said, "Good luck as a welcome." But it was useful because I would prepare myself to such a challenging reality, which was really, really interesting. Everybody that would come to meet this director, they would come with fear because he was shouting to all of them, lawyers, engineers, 90 people under him. He would treat them in such a way, no manners, angry, shouting, yelling. It was interesting. I can only say interesting. So knowing in advance what I was going through and taking the advantage of the meditation I was practicing, I decided two things. They were my safety. So I decided, first, I'm responsible for the thoughts I will create and the atmosphere I would keep, because everybody would transit through my room to go to see him because I was his assistant. So I said, I'm going to create an atmosphere that will help them. And that's what I was doing. Everybody would come out after being, treated in that way. I would just go with them, follow them, talk with them with some excuses. And of course, they were trying to gossip and criticize him. And that was my second firm decision. I would never join the gossip. And I would keep showing the goodness as much as I can. And so whoever would come to me to say something bad about their men, I would not join the gossip. Actually, I would say, yeah, I can understand. It's not easy, but he's very young. He's very dynamic. He really wants to excel in what he's doing. He's a perfectionist. So I was trying to give them the other perspective. And it worked. At the beginning, they were taking distance from me after trying to pull me to their side. So for a little bit of time, they were like, I was a bit strange, not join the gossip, not criticize him. Never once I criticized him. And there I was feeling it was my responsibility. And but after some time, they were coming closer, asking advice, becoming friend, and it became an incredible experience. I think I still remember as one of the best moment of learning, really learning on the field. What does it mean to keep your thoughts in the right way, and not to go with the lowest energy, but to create a higher energy so that you can pull other people at their level. Because difficult personality, of course, the energy is very low, is very negative, is very challenging, and everybody can really sink in that. But you just need one person that keep a higher level of energy and will pull everybody at that level. And that's what I was doing. And I was not really aware of the result. I was just practicing my choice of being a good meditator and willing not to go with the flow of a negative attitude. But the result was incredible. I was feeling free. I was feeling useful. And at the end, I had my desk after 6 months completely covered. You couldn't see the desk. It was completely covered by gifts. And so I thought, it's just a matter of choice. If I choose to stand above the situation, because we can. Sometimes we feel that the mind is taking over with many, many waste thoughts. Why is doing that? It's not right. It's not good. I don't deserve. You know, the mind can go on and on and on in that direction of wasting energy, waste thoughts, waste time. But I can choose to be on a higher level, just because that's a responsibility, really. It will help you and it will help people around you. So a kind of toolkit to deal with difficult personalities, of course, is to give respect. If you keep yourself safe from that kind of energy, naturally you will give respect to them. Often, difficult personalities are used to a lack of respect. They didn't feel respected and they don't respect themselves. Huge lack of self-respect. So give respect. And even if you think they don't deserve it, but you deserve to be in your self-respect. Whatever I give out, I should think I'm giving out what I deserve, because eventually it will come back to me. So whatever you give out will come back to you. So give out what you feel you deserve, because it will be what it will come again to you at some point. And of course, the basic energy of giving respect is love, compassion, understanding, mercy. And going back to the story I said before, I don't need to know the story of people to respect them. I just need to center myself in the space of love that I am. A mindset that I really appreciate in this meditation school is to understand that the soul is love. So when I meditate and I go back to that center, my sacred space inside, where I rediscover and I experience again that I am love, from that space I can express compassion, respect, mercy, benevolence. That's all we need, in fact, to deal with difficult people. And don't take it personally anyway, what they do or what they say. Sometimes people can be very nasty, but they will do it to whoever comes in front of them. It's nothing to do with you. It's good not to take it personally, because they are only acting out of their incapacity to hold that kind of expression. But it's nothing to do with you. If it was somebody else, they would do the same. So it's nothing personal. And also, it's good to use one step back strategy, which is also called detachment. And to take one step back and to become a bit of kind of observer, detached observer. And understanding the karma philosophy here is necessary. I don't know how much you are familiar with the law of karma. For me, it's been something very important to understand. Otherwise, I was pretty angry with the injustice of people. You know, these all the bad and evil things that happen around. Why? What? And understanding the karma philosophy was a real balm for my heart. And for those who are not familiar with the karma, it's a universal law of cause and effect. And I like to describe it as an invisible thread that connects my consciousness with my action. And even before my action, the invisible thread connect my consciousness with my intention. And is the relationship in a way about between today's action and tomorrow's reality. What I do today will impact and create my destiny. And karma is also an invisible bank where I can accumulate as much as I want according to the action that I do today. So the response I will give today to whatever happened to me will shape my destiny. So understanding the karma philosophy helped me to become a bit detached and observe and find out the best response I can give to situation in order not to create any further karma. And also change perspective. It's also a good tool to deal with difficult people. There is a story of a woman. She was always crying. She had two daughters. The eldest was married to an umbrella salesman, and therefore, when it was sunny, the mother would cry because she would think that her daughter couldn't sell umbrellas, and the shop would go bankrupt. And the youngest daughter was married to a pasta salesman, and they need the sun to dry the products. So she was crying when it was raining because she couldn't dry the pasta and therefore maybe go bankrupt. So she was always crying. One day a wise man told her something very simple. She told her, when it rains, you can smile and be happy because your daughter would sell umbrellas. And when it's sunny, you can be happy because the other daughter would dry her products and sell them a lot. And so you can smile all the time instead of crying all the time. And it seems a silly things, obviously. It seems like silly to think in that way. But if you think properly, so many people are doing like that. Instead of changing perspective, because changing perspective is a shift. The shift from negative to positive. And it's not obvious at all. Because people that keep blaming all the time, they are doing like this already. Seeing only what doesn't work and what hasn't happened. So the shift from negative to positive actually requires the practice over a long period of time. A few days ago, somebody was sharing that she would react easily, impulsively to situations and think negatively immediately. So the mindset was inclined to think negative. But then she practiced over a long period of time to make that shift, holding that thoughts, no, it's not like that. I can see the quality, I can see the goodness. And eventually she realized that after some time, she didn't have to push the positive thoughts anymore. And she didn't have to work hard to move from the negative to the positive. It was becoming natural. Like you don't have to call that positive thoughts and doing effort for that to settle in your mind and substitute the negative. She was saying something beautiful, saying, I don't have to call that thought anymore, but it's like that positive thought is calling me. Can you imagine such a shift? You don't have to call a thought to substitute the negative one, but that thought is calling you. That means the positive energy has taken over. It's probably gone rise above a certain percentage, so that has become natural. What an incredible achievement. And that means I can move easily into life. Sometimes we say life is difficult, but I wonder what is really difficult. Is my understanding, is my perspective, is my way of thinking. So much can change if I change my thoughts. Of course, the challenges and the storms can happen all the time. But the way I will deal with them, it will make a huge difference. And difficult people demands a lot of tolerance and acceptance. Actually, acceptance means that you surrender to what it is and making room for what it will be. Acceptance gives you a greater sense of control. When I accept something for what it is, I actually control my emotions. And to do that, I need to consider people good. I need to relate to the goodness behind the scene. And we say that if you consider people good, you become good. And becoming good means becoming strong. And to deal with difficult people, you definitely have to be strong. Powerful. But we are naturally powerful. Deeply powerful. We just need to rediscover those powers. Before I was mentioning the books on powers that I just finished to write. It's really amusing to see how much we have inside in terms of resources that we don't use. And sometimes we beg things outside. We beg respect, consideration, etc., etc. And we forgot how much we have and how much we are inside. And another practical tool to deal with difficult people is in relating to them, instead of accusing, oh, you did this and you said this, which doesn't work, and you know that already for sure, to use the I statement, beginning whatever I want to say with I. This is just a communication tool. I feel hurt. I really would like you to listen to me. If I speak starting with I, is much more effective than accusing the other person, because as you know, whoever feels accused will shut the door and become reactive and counter accuse you. So it's something very basic that we can forget easily, because the reaction implies, saying what you have to say to the other person. But just this little tool, I feel hurt. I really would like you to listen to me, or I really would like to understand you. Can you explain a bit more? And another tool is a non-defensive communication. Some people will, get their way by yelling, sulking, threatening, blaming. All these will raise the emotional intensity and therefore reactions. Why not saying, it's interesting what you say. Can you express more? Can we talk when you feel calmer? And maybe in a short while. Or I'm sorry you are upset. A little bit of humility helps a lot. And maybe through all these, you can make them, those difficult people, into your allies. Sometimes, when there is a difficult person in a team, the strategy is to make them your ally. Can you help me in find the solution? Or can you help me to understand why you are so upset? Or can you help me to solve this problem? And it's a good strategy. It works because they feel involved and useful. And of course, minimizing the contact with them, if it's necessary, is also good, but sometimes it's not possible. If the difficult personalities are at home, you can do much. You can minimize the contact. So that's when it's important to deal with them properly. And what can help at this level is the practice of meditation. In order to fill the tank, the inner tank, and be able to keep the energy that will give you strength and the capacity to deal with whatever. So I think it's time for a little meditation. Am I right?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
So silence is a language, and I withdraw into the space of silence within myself, remembering that deep within the self, there is a beautiful soul, like a diamond, ready to shine with its own virtues and powers. And I use my thought to experience the inner space. I'm a peaceful being. I'm a loving being. I am peace. I am love. And I reach the space, traveling with my thoughts inside myself. embarking myself in that journey, silence accompanies me into that calm and unlimited space where I can feel I am, I exist, and I can restore all my resources. And the more I discover to be love, to be peaceful, the more I become, the more I share, the more I use those resources. And that silence embrace the soul. Healing happens in silence. Love is the healing energy. And when I set myself in that space, I get recharged, renewed, like having a new birth every moment. I touch myself inside. This changed my feelings, my vision, my stage, my life. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Antonella. There's lots of questions, so I'm gonna do my best to go through them. So the first one is about dealing with a family member who always criticizes and always questions.
People criticize, and when they are in the family, that means you are exposed to that on a daily basis. And often when people criticize, they are asking your attention. So to start a dialogue, to look for a dialogue with them, and also saying, as I was saying before, I feel hurt when you tell me this. Because sometimes when people criticize us, either we say, well, they are like that, so I need to cope, and I don't do actually nothing. It's like we already gave up. But to face them, not to face in terms of they attack me, I attack them, that's not facing. But to face them in terms of let me tell them, I feel hurt. I would like to understand where all the criticism is coming from. Please explain me better and tell me what you would like me to do and to be with you. So becoming a little bit vulnerable and open, and it could make the difference. Because sometimes, they criticize me, I reject them. I keep spinning my thoughts in terms of, it's not right, they are very bad. And I withdraw into a space of denial. Or I criticize them back, and it becomes a distance. And, the distance between people becomes so much, that wall is very difficult to break. The only way I will take a step forward, at least I will have tried and I will have done my bit. Then let's see. Many things can happen. And people, they are behind a huge rock of pain. So another things to do in that case is to use the power of the mind. Like every day for 21 days, you sit in I wake up 10 minutes before, and I give some kind of energy to them, loving thoughts, like good wishes, pure feelings, I will do it regularly, because we underestimate the power of our mind and the power of thoughts, but it works a lot.
The next question is about at work. When somebody keeps getting you into trouble with management to make themselves look good, you try to show respect and be nice, not take things personally, but they keep doing this.
That means you are trying to please them. To please people is always a loss, in a way, that ask yourself, why do you want to please them? And because when you try to please them, in a way, you want something. And sometimes it comes back what you want, sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you feel very frustrated and hurt. But if I can sit with myself honestly and say, what do I really want from them? Can I find it in myself? And working on my own self-respect at such a level that I don't need to please anybody, but I need to be a kind of expressing my best with everybody. In a way, I will change my mindset. That's a shift which is very important in our personality.
The person is saying actually is that it's not pleasing, that she's saying it's more that they backstab you to make themselves look good.
Okay.
They make you look bad, in front of the management.
Okay, yeah. It did happen to me once, and it's really, really, how do you say, not nice at all, because they take advantage of what you did, and they take the benefit, and they take the credit, and that's called competition. And you know what? I remember having a lot of thoughts, and but in time, the reality showed that, because I didn't do anything, I said, okay, they need to have the credit. If you think in the unlimited, let's say God knows what you've done. If a human being knows that is your benefit or not, it's just a human being. God knows, karma knows, destiny knows. That's the most important. And on a human level, sooner or later, they will acknowledge you the double, because it's like you've been waiting and you've been sowing, and you will harvest double. And that will happen. The harvest was double. But the patient in between of, okay, they need to have this credit for their own self-respect, I join the game. I let them get the credit with all my heart. And eventually the credit came to me later on in a much greater way. And so it was a double gain. I practiced goodness. I didn't create conflict with some people. That means the relationship kept going on. So it was the goodness on the way and the goodness in the result. And for me, that's victory.
Thank you. So this person is saying that when they express their ideas or opinions, it's like this other person, they take them as if I'm undermining them. So
Yeah.
how to do this more successfully so that I express my ideas and opinions, but they don't feel like I'm undermining them.
You mean that people are not considering you very much?
No, the other person feels like you're undermining them.
Mm.
They feel less than.
Less.
Mm.
That means the other person feels superior.
No, inferior.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
other is superior and
Yeah,
you are
yeah, yeah,
inferior.
yeah,
So it's still a game of competition.
yeah.
And people can try to make you feel superior, inferior, but it's your choice to feel like that. Um, I don't know if you know the story of the eagle and the crow. You know the story? I mean, it's not a story, or maybe it is. I don't know if it's real or not. But they say that the only bird that annoyed or tried to annoy the eagle is the crow. And the crow jumped on top of the eagle and, try to annoy the eagle. And the eagle doesn't do anything. It just rises higher and higher, keep flying higher. And eventually the crow has to give up because the oxygen is not enough. So the eagle keep rising and the crow has to give up. But the eagle doesn't fight with the crow. It just rise above and keep rising. So when people feel themselves superior, means they're weak. And they want to prove themselves because they don't consider themselves good enough. And they try to push you down for them to feel good. Otherwise, they wouldn't feel good if they wouldn't push you down. That means they are not really strong inside, nor is strong their consideration of themselves. So just be the eagle, the eagle that goes just up above and rise, and the crow will just drop because they can't cope with a high level of oxygen. And that's all.
Thank you. There's actually, can I ask if we were to overrun, do you have another 10, 15 minutes or 10 minutes?
No problem.
No problem. So what I'll do, if that's okay, is I'll just take 1 minute to quickly share announcements, and we'll go back to the
Sure.
questions because
No
they keep
problem.
they keep coming. The questions keep coming. So let me just quickly share a few slides to go through different. There's so much coming up. So I'm just going to give you a flavor of a few things. And maybe you can check more out on the website, but this is a date for your diary. This is an event with Sister Genti at the Savoy Place. And those of you who've been with Inner Space for many years, then you would know that we used to be at the Savoy Place weekly and then monthly from 2008 till 2020. But now it'll be our first time that we'll be there in the big auditorium. So about 451 attendees can join us. So if you can help us to spread the word, or if you can come, that'd be great. So that's one thing. Another one, a date for your diary is an open house. We're part of the open house festival that takes place every year. So this is our first time. And so we've got a weekend of activities. So please check that out and come along, just drop in and come along for all the activities. So that's another. What else? Okay, I've done that one. I'm going to move back. So this is today's, this is next week's. So next Friday's talk is developing mental strength, and the speaker is Stefan. And so, yeah, join us next week for that 6:30, same time, same place. And so the last one that I'm going to mention is about the 2024 goals. If you've again been on the journey, then you'll know that we're currently on optimism. And so the new goal will go out on Tuesday. So if you haven't joined, then please do. And so you'll get an email with affirmations, reflective questions, and actionable ideas. And we're just working through goals that'll take us through to the end of the year. Thank you for listening to me. And my final thing I'd like to actually just say is on coming Tuesday, there's a course in the morning, 7:30 to 8:30, Raj Yoga meditation course. And this is going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 2 weeks. but in the morning. So if your timetable schedule allows you to take part in that, then if you want to learn to meditate, learn some of the spiritual concepts, then do join us for that. And again, all the information's on the website. There's so much more, so check the website. Back to the questions. So let me just go back. And yes, how to get through to a family member who who often thinks that everyone else is against them, and they exclude themselves. And they've actually moved across, like to Australia, and everybody else is just finding it very difficult to get through to them. So how to reach out and connect with somebody who's distant, physically as well as emotionally.
Maybe is to check why that distance is being created, because there must be some reason. So that could be a good self-checking and a bit of introspection about, what is happening and why. And to study that can also be useful. And then I think there are so many communication tools today to reach people even at the distance, and simply say, I like to talk to you. Just to take that step of communicating with them. And sometimes there is a bit of proudness, saying, well, if they don't call me, I don't call them, or waiting for them to do the first step, but do the first step. And if it doesn't work, do it again and do it again and do it again. Don't give up. If you're really caring, you will do that. And of course, people take distances because somehow they, sometimes it's life, sometimes they're busy, sometimes they're hurt. That also need to be checked, why are they distant? But if I want to create a bridge, I need to give. A bridge is made of giving. And so what can I give? Attention, care, consideration, time, energy, and keep giving until the bridge is built. Sometimes distance is such that the bridge takes time to be built. Keep giving and keep sharing. And that's the best way for the self, because I'm practicing a good value, which is giving, and it will have its result.
How to deal with a colleague who's helpful, but they have this habit of shouting and screaming to get their own way.
I remember in the school, during a project, Living Values project for education, there was one tool that were indicated in the manual, and that was when people are shouting and yelling, whether they're children or the teachers or whoever, you just do exactly the opposite. Let's say in a class or in a room where people are all talking too loud, or some people are shouting, you say, if you listen to this voice, stop. And eventually they will turn to you and see you moving and doing something, and they will stop because they will be curious about what is going on. So that's to say that to those who are yelling and shouting, you exactly do the opposite. And it's in such a way that they need to stop if they want to talk to you and listen to you. So, and it rebalance the energy. Even it could be even provocative, because they shout. When people are fighting, they shout. They might be so close and they shout. Why? They might be 50 centimeters away from each other and they shout. Why? Because their hearts are distant. The distance of the heart made them shout, even though they are one in front of the other. So if I want to stop shouting. I need to be in my heart and, express my heart. That means any way that I express love will work.
Great. So the next question is, how did your relationship with the difficult boss work out? Did it improve? Somebody's asking, did they stop shouting, change?
He didn't stop shouting to people. He only shouted to me once. But he did shout to people, but because that was his habit. But people start understanding how he was positioned, so they were becoming more, how do you say, shield. They were becoming stronger, and it was a common energy of cooperating to cope with that person. So, but he didn't stop shouting. It was his way. So, and actually nobody even tried to change him, but they all try to change themselves. And in fact, that's the way. I cannot change the other, especially if he doesn't even realize he's wrong. But they were trying to cope. And I think the example that I was given in a way, maybe unconsciously, helped. And he did shout to me once. And I still remember he told me, "You are a failure." Because I couldn't get the paper that you wanted. After 3 days, I couldn't get the paper. He shouted at me like that, "You are a failure." And he remained very cool. And I said to him, "Sir, for you not to get a piece of paper is a failure. I can understand it's important, but for me to respect my colleague, it's a victory." That's all. He never shouted at me again. Actually, he was extremely, extremely kind. And when people saw the kindness he was using with me, I was pretty young also. It was kind of realization. Why is he acting differently with different people? And they were seeing that I would be positive and not criticizing and not reacting all the time. So that would give an example.
Next one is, when you know, like you understand what the other person is going through, their story, their suffering, and you're understanding and empathetic, you change your behavior towards them, but they don't change their behavior towards you.
Of course they don't.
So what to do? They're asking.
They won't change their behavior because maybe they can't do it. To change a habit, it takes a lot of strength, a lot of time. So maybe they don't even had the choice to do it, because you need to choose to change. So if they haven't chosen, then they won't. But again, it's you that are choosing to change because it will do good to you. And again, the law of karma plays a major role, because I remember being very affected by people with anger. And I would really freak out when people would shout or people would be in that kind of attitude. And I remember my father was like that, and I was really taking sorrow. And then eventually other people were, I encountered the same attitude until I would cope with that. And it's like life will bring you the test until you bypass the test. Like a school, you will be going to the next class when you finish the exam. So if I pass the exam, I'm going to the next class, to the next level. So if they're happening, keep happening, means that's something that is a good lesson to learn. I really believe life is a school, and everything that happens is for my learning. And I really like to be a student, learning, and sometimes tough. And when there is a big karmic count, it's really tough. But as a storm will pass.
And now the last, final question, the most important one. What's the title of your new book? Someone's asking.
The powers of the soul.
And how will people find it? I guess there's still a journey, I guess a wait.
It's in Italian.
So actually, one thing I didn't share on the slides was about the 8 powers. There's a product which I was going to actually recommend with this talk, not knowing anything about the topic of your talk of your book, was this 8 power cards that we sell. And there's I think there's a set of 40 cards, and they explore different powers and very simple ideas and practices really with that. So if you want that, then yeah, just email us. And so yeah, anyway, so everybody's saying thank you. So thank you from all of us, Antonella, and I want to say thank you to everybody actually for being so engaging, and I want to apologize that I didn't get to all the questions. So yeah, anyway.
Thanks to all of you. I really enjoy, and thank you for inviting me.